Hi, this is Mrs. Robinson. In this video, we're going to talk about parenthetical citations. If you haven't learned anything about citations or works cited pages, you should first go to the citations page of the library website and learn more about those. Parenthetical citations are an important partner to citations. If you're working on a project where the information you're using is not from your own experience, you need both citations and parenthetical citations. These will help your reader know where your information came from and help them locate that information if they want to read more about the topic. If you don't include citations, your reader won't have any way to verify if the information you used in your paper is reliable or true. You'll also be taking credit for someone else's work. So let's learn more about parenthetical citations. Okay, so a parenthetical or in-text citation works in conjunction with a works cited to help your reader know where to find the source of information used in your work. A citation is where you give all the pertinent information about your source, such as the author, title, publisher, and date. It's a little bit different than the parenthetical citation. The parenthetical, or sometimes called in-text citation, is where you name the source from your regular citation within the text of your writing. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do this and different styles. In this district, we use MLA style. So with an MLA in-text citation, you're going to use the author's last name and the page number if it's a book or a print source, and you're going to put those inside parentheses at the end of a sentence. Now, sometimes you might see in books or something like that where they use something called a footnote. And so after the information is given in the book, you'll see like a number. And then at the bottom of the page, you'll see that corresponding number. And then you'll see the information about the source. Right? Sometimes we use something called Endnotes, which will be similar. It'll have a number, but instead at the end of the chapter or the end of the essay, then you'll have that list of sources based on the number. So MLA instead puts the author's last name and the page number in the sentence, and then you match it up with the author's last name and the name of the source on the citations page, what we call a works cited. So we're going to look at some examples because there's more than one way to include that source information even within the text of your writing. So here's one example. According to writer Liz Donovan, socialization is important for puppies as it can help them learn to interact appropriately with people, especially children. So in this case here, I've named my source, writer Liz Donovan, right at the beginning part of my sentence. And then after that, I've had the information that I got from her source. Now, my full citation, which is on the works cited page, is going to be down there at the bottom, where it tells me that Donovan Liz, puppy socialization, why, when, and how to do it right from the American Kennel Club. I have the URL of where it was found. So I have all that full information on my works cited page. So this, in a parenthetical citation, we just have that part in the sentence. We're just naming the author. So I could also move the author's name to the end of the sentence. Okay, I have the same information. Socialization is important for puppies as it can help them learn to interact appropriately with people, especially children. But instead, I put parentheses at the end of the sentence with the author's name in it. Now, this was a web source, so I don't have a page number. Right? And then do notice that my punctuation is going to be outside of the parentheses at the end of my sentence. Now, if I was using a book where I do have a page number, I'm going to do it the same way, but I'm going to include the page number where the information is located. So here's an example from a book called Super Puppy by Jill Pinkwater. To prevent begging, owners must never allow feeding a puppy from the table. In parentheses, I've got Pinkwater 164. Now notice that there's nothing that comes between the name of the author and the page number except a space. Don't put a comma there. That doesn't belong, all right? And again, I have my period after the end of parentheses there. Okay, I could also put the author's name in the sentence and just have the page number at the end. So in this case here, I could say, according to Jill Pinkwater at the beginning of my sentence. And then at the end of my sentence, I want to include the page number so that my reader, if they want to go find that book at the library, they could find the information on page 164. Okay, let's shift gears. What if my topic is a book and all of my evidence has the same author? Do I still need a parenthetical citation for each sentence? That might be kind of repetitive when all my information is coming from the same author.
Okay, so the answer to that is no. So if all of the information that you're using in your paper all comes from the same author, the same book, then you're going to do things a little bit differently. So normally this will happen if you're writing about like a book that you've read for your English class. And so in this case, you're going to give the author's first and last name in the introduction. So here in this example, this is from Jack London's Call of the Wild. So the writer would have put that in the introduction to the essay. And then they're going to refer to the author by last name at any other parts in the essay. So in this paragraph, at the beginning of the sentence, the first way London develops this idea, they use just his last name, London, to refer to him. And then there's the quote is given here, and the page number in parentheses at the end of the quote is given for that quote. And if you were to paraphrase or summarize a section, again, at the end of that paraphrasing or summarizing, you would just put in parentheses the page number or page numbers where that information is coming from.
All right, so to avoid plagiarism, you want to make sure that you're summarizing, paraphrasing, or quoting the information you get from a source. You can see in that previous paragraph that student quoted their information from the book. If you are summarizing, that means that you're putting general information you learn from your source in your own words and you're giving the author credit. Usually it means you're reading, a bigger piece of the author's work, maybe a whole chapter or at least several pages, but you're putting it down into a much smaller number of words. So maybe you're only including a paragraph of that, you're summarizing or making it shorter. Now, paraphrasing, it's also going to be in your own words. Okay, but you're restating more specific points in a way that's closer to how the author wrote it. But you do need to use your own words there. So be careful with that in paraphrasing. It's just that you are taking a shorter section, like maybe a sentence, and you are actually rephrasing it as a sentence, but in your own words. Or you could have a direct quote, and that's where you copy the author's exact words and you put quotation marks around it and give the author credit. Every time you give the author credit, no matter what. Now, you never want to fill your paper with all quotes. That's kind of the lazy way out, right? So it's a good idea to have a combination of these three types of giving information when you're writing a research essay. Here's an example of what a paragraph would look like using parenthetical citations. Has your puppy been chewing your socks? There are several reasons your puppy may be chewing your prized possessions. Puppies experience discomfort from teething, and chewing releases chemicals that help soothe the pain. Culp. According to Jill Pinkwater, author of Super Puppy, puppies chew your possessions because they're bored or teething or because they think it's fun or out of spite or anger. 164. These are just a couple of reasons your puppy may be chewing your favorite socks, but rest assured, this is a phase that will soon be over. So you can notice in this paragraph we used two separate pieces of evidence, information that we got from our sources. One was Culp. That doesn't give me very much information, right? If I'm the reader, I need to have that other citation on the works cited page in order to match that up and find the article that is by Culp, right? And then one by Jill Pinkwater. This time I gave more information saying it was the author of Super Puppy, even though that's not required. And then I did give the page number because that's a book. All right, so don't forget to include your works cited at the end of your writing. And I hope this helped you understand parenthetical citations.